Hello and welcome to the last podcast of 2023. I can't believe that that's another year over, and I hope that you've had a wonderful time with family or friends over the last few days. So, this podcast is going to be about the benefits of reflection. And some people, maybe even you, will keep a journal in which you write down how the day has gone. It's sort of the reverse version of a diary. So a diary is planning what you're going to do in the future, and the journal is how was my thoughts, how were the days that have just gone past. But if you don't want to go all the way to journaling, and I know that that's maybe quite an old-fashioned way, given that everything is done via our phones and everything's so digital now, don't lose the benefit of reflection. And why am I talking to you about this? Well, it's quite timely. It's the last Thursday of 2023, so a good time to be thinking about things. It's also that lull between the Christmas period and the New Year period where you're probably a bit tired of what's on the telly. Maybe the weather's not so good. Maybe the weather is good where you are. You've done your going out for walks. You are probably fed up with eating. Maybe you have shopped a lot. Now what are you going to do? And I think that this is a perfect opportunity, a time to really think about what you want, think about how things have gone and how things could be better. I've spoken to you in the past about the happiness calendar. Why don't you, as soon as you finish listening to this, go online to, one of those shopping channels, Amazon, but there could be others. You could even go to a stationery's and buy your calendar, an actual printed calendar that's going to go on the wall for the coming year, and sit there and look at that year and think about this year. So how much fun have you had? How successful have you felt that you've been? What are the words? Let's start with that. What are the words that actually matter to you? What are the words that would describe a great life, a wealthy life? So if you haven't already done this, there is a manual or a workbook over on the website. We'll put the link in, but basically if you go to vickywusche.com to the resources page, you'll find that there are a whole load of workbooks there. And one of the workbooks is around your values. There's also one there on writing your goals if you want some help with that. And I'll talk about that more next week. But let's focus on reflection for a minute. So values are what's important to you, and you could have a twin sibling and your values would be different. You could have been married to someone for 20 years and your values would be different. Your values compared with your children's values will be different, and similarly up to your parents. And so this can sometimes cause a bit of confusion in families when you're all moving forward, but actually really what matters to you are completely different things. And I spoke about this right when I started this podcast, that typically for men, although not always for men, this desire to be the financial provider, that there is so much pressure on men to perform in a certain role. And that male provider avatar that I spoke about can be hugely powerful, a magnet to pull them forward, but not necessarily make them happy. And typically for women, this idea that you have to take care of the family, that's your role, your responsibility. And excuse me phrasing like this, but they're there, little love, you don't need to worry about money because you've got a man that will provide for you. And we all know that those fairy tales and those avatars and those roles are really being questioned at the moment. But also what underlies that are values. So if we strip away all of what society says that we should be, or that we should be doing, or we must be like, and blah, 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 and actually use this period of reflection to think about what truly matters to you. What is the most important thing in your life? And this is what the values manual, if you go and download it, will help you with. It'll ask you a series of questions and get you to rate these. But when you think about your values, and let's say if we use my values, so my values are, and I've had to work on these, they didn't come naturally. I have taken my natural values, put them in order, and then added in values that I feel that would really help me achieve the values that I want to achieve. So for example, I like the word success. And what that means to me is that whatever I've set my mind to, I have achieved it. It's not necessarily linked to financial. It could be going out for a walk. It could be phoning somebody. But I want to know, for me, what's important is that whatever I decide to do, that I am doing that. So that's success. And a wealthy life, obviously, is the name of the podcast. So a wealthy life to me means to have designed a life that is going to give me all of the things that my values say that are important to me. So success and fun with family and friends, those are also values of mine. And that I have created a financial model that would allow me to have the time and the money to live the life that I want. So that's a wealthy life. So I knew that I wanted to focus on success. Oh, see, I slipped the word in there already. I knew I wanted focus and, start again. I knew that I wanted success and a wealthy life. And it's so funny that I keep saying that word, because that's the word that I knew that I needed to add in, focus, because before I put that into my values, I would be a bit all over the place, all right, this time I'm going to be doing this, and then I'm going to be doing this, and I want this, and I want that. And there are so many things out there, so many exciting opportunities, adventures to be had, that I was really struggling to just get one thing done. And so I knew that I needed to value success over fun. I needed to value it over variety. I needed to value it even over the word opportunity, because it was the problem I had was that there were so many opportunities that I was struggling to focus. And so that's how I've kept saying that word, because I know that I have to focus on success and a wealthy life in order to have what it is that I want. I hope you can sort of see how that iterates. And again, if you download the manual, I explain it a bit better in the manual. It's between Christmas and New Year. I can get away with this. Right. So then the next thing is what I really want in my life now that I've got success. So whatever I set my mind to, I can achieve it. And I've created a plan that I can live that life that I want, and that I've created the financial income to allow me to have the time to do the things, because lots of people have the money but don't have the time, and other people have the time and don't have the money. And you need to have both so that you can have the life that you want. Perfect. What is it that I want in that life? How did I unpack that? And so for me, it's about having fun and adventures. And of course, that's where the happiness calendar, and that's where I'm getting to, comes in, the happiness calendar. And who do I want to have that with? Well, friends and family, obviously, or family and friends, whichever way around you want it. What's missing out of that? I've done it again. I have missed it out, because it is something that I am still struggling with. Health. Without your health, there is nothing. So what I am supposed to remember to do is focus on living a healthy life so that I can have success and wealth with fun and adventure with family and friends. And the thing is that health was there as a value. Of course, it's there as a value, but it was always at the bottom. So my health kept coming last. So I'd be off having a great time. I'm being successful. I'm having lots of holidays and fun and family and friends and everything else. But the health kept just getting left behind. And I've had to bring it up a level. And you can see that I'm still working on that. I've mastered focus. I've definitely mastered sticking focus up the front, but I'm keep pulling health back up. And it's an ongoing process. So once you understand what it is you want in your life, you can take that blank calendar and you can have a look at it, and you can go, how am I going to sprinkle my values onto this calendar so that I can live the life that I want to live? Sounds quite simple. Maybe you've got a job that controls your time a bit. Maybe you've got family commitments that controls your time a bit. Maybe you've got a business that controls your time a bit. And so you might be in an interim period. Maybe that interim period will last a year or 2 years or 3 years, until you get to the stage where you are truly in control of your time. And so that blank calendar is yours to create. And so maybe you have to put on there that you're going to work between Monday and Fridays, or whatever days you work, or you're going to run your business and you're going to run it in this way. So maybe there are some almost preordained time requirements that you have to stick in your calendar. But then the rest of it is free. So why not have a little think back, because this is about reflection. Have a little think back and go, okay, so maybe I didn't have as many holidays as I wanted this year, or maybe I had plenty of holidays this year. Maybe I had too many holidays this year, too much time off, too much time away from the business. What thoughts, what judgment, I was hesitating over using the word judgment, but yeah, what judgment do you want to make about how you have spent your time? Now, and the reason I'm hesitating over the word judgment is it's very judgmental as a word. It's very judgmental. It's very black and white. It implies that there could be something that is wrong. And there's nothing wrong. Whatever you've done in this year, and even the year before, has been absolutely fine, because you have to remember that you've been doing the best that you can. Always remember that you're doing the best that you can. And as long as you truly believe that and truly do it, then everything is fine. So we're looking at reflection, and we're going to make some judgments so that we can reach some decisions, but not in a negative way, not in a beat yourself up way. Looking back and going, so how was this? I'd like to judge, did I have enough time off? Did I not have enough time off? You know, this friend that I really love spending time with, did I spend enough time with them? You know, this family member, this child, this sibling, my parents potentially, did I spend enough time with them? What about your health, given that it's slipping down my values all the time? How's your health? Have you spent enough time on your health? Have you been very stressed, very exhausted? Are you reaching this period of the holidays and actually sort of, instead of sliding into a holiday series going, woohoo, I've got time off and I've got time to meet friends and I've got loads of things planned and I'm having a wonderful time, you're actually sliding into it exhausted, drained, not looking forward to the holiday festive periods, not looking forward to staying up to New Year, none of that stuff. And if that's how you're feeling, then maybe you should be looking back and working out, where did it go wrong for you? Because what we want to do is create the happiness calendar. And yes, the happiness calendar can have work in it. Yes, you can be running your business, because that should be making you happy, and hopefully work isn't exactly making you miserable. That calendar needs to be planned to support you to achieve the life that you want to live. And we'll talk about specific goals next week. But this is about using that combination of reflection on what's gone well, yes, the values, if you want to do that exercise, and looking at that calendar and going, okay, so this is the life that I want to live next year. This is how I want my year to be. And these are the things that I'm going to put on this calendar because they are important to me. So maybe you'll put family birthdays and a few friends' birthdays, and you're going to make an important moment out of those. You're going to make sure that they are a priority. Maybe you're not worried about birthdays, and what you want to do is put on a holiday, and you're going to have a 2-week holiday, or maybe a 4-week holiday, or maybe 4 1-week holidays, or lots of weekends away. Or, as I suggested, and we'll put the link back to the episode where I talk about the happiness calendar, maybe you're going to follow that process of every month making sure that there is and let me inverted commas, significant happy moment, so that you're going to specifically go and see someone or specifically do something that will give you joy, that will make you happy, that will boost your energy. Because that's another thing to think about. And I talked about sliding into the holiday festivals now, going, oh, God, I just need the time off, or hurrah, it's a time I can just lie in bed and sleep a bit longer. Or are you full of energy at the end of the year? Are you exhausted or emboldened and excited? And that's an energy question. And have you, again, reflecting back on the last year, given out too much energy, not built your energy up? And you build your energy up through your connections and through, for example, the happiness that you have in your life, the joy that you have in life. And you need more positive than you have negative, because if you don't, then you're not up in the positive calendar, a column. You're facing more stress, you're facing more misery, more negativity, and that will dominate your life. And you can change that. You can change that with how you plan 2024. So let me summarize this a bit. So in terms of activities that you can do, you can go and download the values manual. You can do some work and you can make conscious what's important to you. You probably know what's important to you. Let's be honest, we all know what's important. And if I sat down with you right now and I asked you what's important to you, you'd probably have to come up with one or two things. The point of the manual is it makes you dig in. It makes you get down to sort of like a list of 20 things. It asks you to think about what's important to you in your private life, in your relationships, in your health and work, and then bring all of these things together, because we're not just one-dimensional beings. So that's the first thing. You can also go back and just listen to a couple of the podcasts, for example, the one about the happiness calendar, so you can understand this process. And maybe you go buy yourself that big calendar and you start looking at it. And then go through this process of reflection and think back and ask yourself very specific questions. How was 2023? So overall, if you were going to score it out of 10, and 10 is absolutely amazing, and 1 is it was pretty rubbish, actually, where would you score this year? What number would you give this year? And if it's anything below a 7, quite frankly, you know, I think 7 and above is good. 6 and below is not so good. Not being judgy, but just offering you a suggestion that if you've scored this year as a 6 or a below, then was there one specific thing? So, for example, in the year that one of my parents died, yeah, it was a pretty bleak year because, you know, that sort of shaped things. And they both managed to do it around about the October, November time. So the season isn't good. So you've got, you know, grey clouds, bad weather, shortening days, and then this, you know, sadness. And it does sort of taint your year. But if you haven't had something awful like that, then really your life should be at least a 7 or an 8, maybe even a 9 or a 10. And if you're not scoring that, what's going on in your life that is dragging you down, that is limiting your joy and your happiness? And what can you do about it? And you can't do anything about it unless you recognize it. So you need to recognize it. That's the point of reflection. You look back and you recognize, what do I want to keep? What do I want to change? And then using this blank calendar, start to map out what it is that you want your life to look like. Now, the thing about the happiness calendar is it needs to go on the wall, and it needs to be there as a constant reminder that your focus is about shaping your life in a way that you want to live. And it could be that the word happiness isn't resonating for you, and what you want is variety, or maybe you want excitement, or maybe you want adventure. Whatever the word is, that positive word, the word that most resonates with your values, it could be love. You know, it could be something as simple as love. It could be appreciation. How are you going to create moments in 2024 where that need in you, that value, that need in you is satisfied in a way that, so I keep coming back to happiness, is going to make you happy, is going to make sure that when we have this conversation at the end of 2024, you turn around and you score the year at least 2, if not 3 or 4 points higher than you scored 2023, because you know what you want and you're going to work towards it. And yes, we'll look at the goals next week, and we'll look at how you can create goals to achieve these things. But what I want to say to you is that if you don't reflect on what you've had, you can't possibly create something that is an improvement on it for the future. Now, the caveat here, and I did this one year, I looked back at my year and I'd done very well in the business, and I'd had plenty of time off with my dad. My dad wasn't well at the time, and took him to lots of hospital appointments. And I think I worked out that if you added up all the number of days, it had been the equivalent of about 3 months of the year that I'd spent with my dad, going on days to appointments and just being with him generally. And that's fine. And then we'd had some holidays and we'd done this, that, and the other. And yet the business had still done well. So it was a great year. But instead of recognizing how well I had done, I was using a very classic goal setting approach or business approach and going, okay, I achieved this last year, I'm going to achieve this year. And I think that was probably the moment, well, when it all went horribly wrong, that the whole idea of a wealthy life was born for me. I'd had it bubbling around in my head, but I hadn't crystallized it. Current business models, the way we run our society, is bigger is better, more is more important. If you look at the way businesses are run, the goal is to get to the point where you've got such a big business, and then you can have shareholders, and then when you have shareholders, you can pay out dividends. And actually what happens is when you're busy focused on paying out dividends, you're not focused on providing the best for your customer, because your dividends to your shareholders and your share price becomes more important, and doing things that affects your share price becomes more important than it does making sure that you've got the value and the love of your customers. So it's a really upside down world that we're going, and everything is just, everybody's buying everybody up, and everything's getting bigger and bigger. And if you're not big, and I've been in meetings where I've been referred to this, then you're a lifestyle business. Like a lifestyle business is a bad thing. Why on earth would you not want, whatever size your business is, that business doesn't suit your lifestyle? Why would you want to create something that was against your lifestyle? It just does not compute for me. And maybe it's because I'm older, and if I was, I don't know, 21 to 25, I would be saying, right, okay, I'm going to create this business, and I'm going to put everything else on hold for the sake of making lots of money, because in the future I'll have lots of money and then I'll be able to do things. Of course, the assumption there is that you're going to get to live for however long that is, that you're going to get to enjoy that money. Whereas maybe as you get a bit older, you go, well, do you know what? I don't want to put things off to the future. I want to have things now. And of course, what I did in the business was I looked at what I had achieved. I worked out that I'd achieved all of that in 7 months. I knew my dad's appointments had all been resolved and that he was fine. And so what I thought I could do in the coming year was work a bit harder, make more money. And so I set goals to, what did I do? I think I was going to reduce my expenses, increase my income, and therefore do something like double my profits. I think I'd worked the numbers out. Can't quite remember. It's a story somewhere. I've written it down, or it's in one of the books, The Precise Details. The precise details are irrelevant. I created a very business growth focused goal for the following year. And I'm not saying that can't actually be one of the things that you do in 2024. But I completely forgot about the importance of creating the happiness calendar first. I think I got to about the first quarter when I was having a conversation with she's like my FD. She's the one that I have all the conversations with about money and success and how everything's going, and we set all the targets and we review the targets. And I wasn't hitting the targets. I was falling short. My energy was low. This is March. I've only been doing it for not even the full 3 months. I'm exhausted and I'm unhappy. And I'm unhappy on many levels. I'm unhappy because I'm exhausted, and I'm unhappy because what's important to me is success, and I'm not actually achieving the goals that I set out to achieve. And I'm quite a long way off my targets. I was actually matching the targets from the year before, but I wasn't meeting the new year's targets. And I had a conversation with her, and she just turned around and she asked me this question. She said, well, you set the goals. And I went, yeah, I did. Because, I need to grow the business, because if I don't grow the business, I'm just lifestyle, and lifestyle is second rate. Lifestyle, nobody will take me seriously if I'm just a lifestyle business. And that's when the penny dropped. First of all, do I really care what other people think about my business? Other than that, if you're going to work with me, that you feel that this is a business that you can trust, that I am someone that you can trust, and that I've got the business ethics and the systems and the processes in place so that you want to work with me and being a client, that whole sort of client and working ethically and all of that, fine. But the rest of it, do I worry about how much anybody thinks I'm earning? Not really, because I don't want to earn what other people are earning. I want to create an income that meets the lifestyle that I want to live, or that I have planned to live, or that we're going to enjoy. And that's what I have. So whether that's the same number as you or not, what I want in my life, I have enough money for. And if you want a different lifestyle, you'll potentially need a different amount of money. So I'm not worried about what other people think. Therefore, why had I looked to grow the business so much? Was there a reason to grow the business? Was I looking to sell the business and therefore I needed to grow it so that I could do an exit from it? Not really. That's not this. It's not that sort of a business. Okay. So why did I want to grow the business? Did I need more money? Well, no, I didn't actually. So why had I set the targets? Well, I don't know. I felt like I ought to. Who told you to? I don't know. I just felt like I needed to make bigger goals, because if I'm not making bigger goals and the business isn't growing, then what? Then someone might make a judgment about me. Probably people don't even care or notice. I'm not on the stock market. It's not like you're going to be looking at my share prices. So it's completely irrelevant. Okay. And as this conversation went on, I went, so I set the goals. The goals are making me unhappy. The goals aren't specifically leading to anything other than just making some more money. But I'm looking at, and inverted commas, trying to make more money because I don't know why. And in the process of trying to make more money, I'm making myself more miserable. Right, well, let's stop this then. And literally in March, went back, reviewed the goals, looked at the performance for the first quarter. It was slightly below maybe the year before, or around about the year before. Let's do that instead. And then almost as soon as I ended that call, the relief was enormous. And what I'd forgotten was that point of reflection. Yes, I'd looked at the numbers, and that's what we tend to do. We look at the numbers. And when I talk about goals next week, I will talk to you about the numbers. Yes, we look at the numbers, and the numbers have a role to play, because that's how we track things. But I had focused so much on the numbers that I had forgotten to reflect on what the numbers meant. And that's the key thing here. The point of reflection is to look back at the feelings and the emotions, and if you like that word success, how successful did you feel? Do you feel that you have a wealthy life? And I know that one of the mentors that I used to listen to talks about the mountain of value. You know, when you're climbing that hill to wherever it is that you're going to, when you're on that journey, it's very easy to forget to look behind you and see how far you've come. And that's what this is about, the point of reflection, to look behind, to see how far you've come, to see if you've enjoyed that part of the journey, and what do you need to do about the next part of the journey? How can you make that better? How can you improve that score? That's what's important. Your joy, your positivity, your appreciation, your love for the next year. How can you make all of that better? By looking at what's gone on before, what have you liked, what have you not liked, what do you want to do more of, what do you want to do less of. So, my name is Vicky Wusche. This has been an episode, in fact, the last episode of 2023 of A Wealthy Life. And I really wanted to get you to think about this word reflection. And you've got some time, you know, we're still a few days away from the new year. None of that really matters. Just maybe go for a walk, maybe run yourself a bath, maybe just lie on the sofa with your feet up and have a think. Buy that calendar, that happiness calendar, and start to map some things on there. Maybe download the values manual and actually go through and work out what actually is important to you. That might be a really good place to actually start. I hope I've given you something to think about. I hope I've been able to put a little more whoosh in your life, as I always want to, and certainly some sprinklings of whoosh for the end of 2023. I'm very grateful for your time as always, for listening. I love to get your reviews. I love to get your comments. Please make sure that you follow. Next year is going to be a really powerful year. Some big changes coming along to the podcast, really juicing up the content for you, making sure that there's even more value. I'd love your feedback. Obviously, if you can rate, review, and subscribe, then you'll make sure that you're going to be in the right place in 2024. In the meantime, I hope that 2023 has been kind, has been fun, has been full of love for you, and that actually all you're going to do is more of the same in 2024. If 2023 hasn't been full of love, full of joy, and has maybe been a bit more stressful, then I hope you will identify what's causing that. Stop doing that and do something different instead. And I hope that this podcast has given you some ideas on how you can start to create the life you want, that wealthy life for 2024. Thank you again. My name's Vicky Wusche. I'm wishing you a very happy 2024, and I will speak to you next week.